Chapter 8, which follows up the previous discourse by the explanation of the 12th chapter of the Apocalypse. The literal version of that chapter of the Apocalypse is as follows. 1. And a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman, clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. 2. And being with child, she cried, travailing in birth, and was in pain to be delivered. 3. And there was seen another sign in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his head 7 diadems. 4. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, who was ready to be delivered, that, when she should be delivered, he might devour her son. 5. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with an iron rod, and her son was taken up to God and to his throne. 6. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had a place prepared by God, that there they should feed her 1,260 days. 7. And there was a great battle in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. 8. And they prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. 9. And the dragon was cast out, that old serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, who seduceth the whole world, and he was cast unto the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. 10. And I heard a loud voice saying, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ, because the accuser of our brethren is cast forth, who accused them before our God day and night. 11. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of the testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. 12. Therefore rejoice, O heavens, and you that dwell therein. Woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil is come down unto you, having a great wrath, and knowing that he hath but a short time. 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman who brought forth the man-child. 14. And there were given to the woman 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the desert unto her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times and a half a time, from the face of the serpent. 15. And the serpent cast out of his mouth after the woman water as if it were a river, that he might cause her to be carried away by the river. 16. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed the river, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. 17. And the dragon was angry against the woman, and went to make war with the rest of her seed, who keep the commandments of God, and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. 18. And he stood upon the sands of the sea. Such are the words of the evangelist. He speaks in the past because at that time was shown to him a vision of that which had already happened. He says, And a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. This sign appeared really in the heavens by divine disposition, and was shown to the good and the bad angels, in order that, seeing it, they might subject their will to the pleasure and the commands of God. They saw it, therefore, before the good ones chose the good, and before the bad ones had turned to evil. It was, as it were, a mirror of the wonderful perfection of the handiwork of God in creating human nature. Although he had already revealed this perfection to the angels in making known to them the mystery of the hypostatic union, yet he wished to reveal it to them also in a different manner, by showing it to them in a mere creature, the most perfect and holy, which, next to the humanity of our Lord, he was to create. It was also a sign for the assurance of the good angels and for confusion of the bad, since it manifested to them that in spite of the offense which was committed, God would not let the decree of creating man be unfulfilled, and that the incarnate Word and this woman, his mother, would please him infinitely more than the disobedient angels could ever displease him. This sign was also like the rainbow, which appeared after the flood in the clouds of heaven, as a guarantee that even if men should sin like the angels and become disobedient, they were not to be punished like the angels without remission, but would be furnished with salutary medicine and remedy by this wonderful sign. It was as if God said to the angels, I will not chastise in the same way the other creatures which I call into my existence, because this woman, in whom my only begotten is to assume flesh, belongs to that race. My son shall be the restorer of friendship and the pacifier of my justice. He shall open the way to the felicity which sin would close. In further testimony of this, after the punishment of the disobedient angels, God made use of the sign in order to show that his anger, which the pride of Lucifer had occasioned, was appeased and placated. And according to our way of understanding, he rejoiced in the presence of the queen, thus represented in that image. He gave the angels to understand that, through Christ and his mother, he would now divert upon men the grace which the apostates had lost through their rebellion. There was also another effect of that great sign among the good angels, namely, that since they had been, as it were, made sorrowful and made unhappy, speaking according to our way of understanding, the Most High now wished to rejoice them with the sight of that image and to increase their essential beatitude by this accidental pleasure merited by their victory over Lucifer. Seeing this woman, so full of clemency, appearing to them as a sign of peace, they understood at once that the decree of punishment was not issued against them, since they had obeyed the precepts of the Lord and his divine will. Much of the mysteries and sacraments of the Incarnation, and those of the Church militant and its members, were made manifest to them in this sign. They understood also that they were to assist and help the human race, by watching over men, by defending them against their enemies, and by leading them to eternal felicity. They saw that they themselves would owe their felicity to the merits of the incarnate Word, and that the Creator had preserved them also in grace through Christ preordained in the divine mind. Just as all this was a great joy and happiness for the good angels, so it was a great torment for the evil spirits. It was to the latter a part and the beginning of their punishment, for they saw at once that having failed to profit by this sign, they were to be conquered and crushed by it. All these mysteries and many others which I cannot explain, the evangelist wished to comprehend in this chapter and include in that great sign, although for us it will remain obscure and enigmatic until the proper time arrives.